Love people. Love the world around you. Love animals and birds and big cities and mountains. Love dreams. But most importantly, my friends, love yourselves. Let your heart be as deep as the deepest ocean and as wide as the furthest horizon. Know that it is limitless. It is the only excuse you will ever have to call yourself special. Live now, live today, because tomorrow we will all be dead.
Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me enormous pleasure to introduce to you Dr. Shah Rukh Khan.
Thank you very much. First of all, it's an honor for me to receive this doctorate today. So thank you everyone who's involved with this. And humbled is a word often used by people in my profession. You meet actors, they'll go, I'm very humbled, we all. I dislike the hypocritical, obsequious connotation of it in these contexts. So I'm not going to use it, but I will say that such occasions have a way of putting me right in my place, which is right there. So thank you everyone for putting me in my place. I do get invited to conferences and inaugurations now and then to speak. And when I receive the invite, I also receive my brief. It's usually about success and my tips on it. Not my toes. Those are covered by I will never show my toes clause in my contracts. They're very ugly. And it's my attempt at gender equality. My co-actresses have no cleavage clause, I have no toes clause. Now, most people believe Bollywood stars aren't insightful about anything other than the fateful occurrences which made them stars in the first place. But I've had the odd divergence from being taken for stupid, though. Recently, I got an email from an International Association of Advertising, and they said, Dear Mr. Khan, the advertising community would like you to come and address them on globalization and disruptive marketing. And I spent the next 4 hours on Google trying to assimilate the disruptiveness of innovating a product to match its market. But it was one of those rare days when even Google can't help you. A day when you need to leave Google and ask for deliverance from God. But I have a film releasing soon, so I don't want to take extra favors from God before the film releases. So I chose business over knowledge. I did the next best thing. I sat on my IO Hawk. Have you guys seen that Segway thing? Yeah, so I went on my IO Hawk and told everybody, a gathering like yours, that there is nothing I can tell you that you already don't know. And people, when they're told they're smart, they like it. You're such an august gathering of people and blah, blah, blah. Instead, let me entertain you because you all deserve a break. And before the organizers could interject, I started thrusting my pelvic into their faces and broke out into the one and only intellectual thing I know how to do, the lungi dance. So I got away with it without being humbled. It always pays to be a better dancer than your advertisers. And what's more, they seem to have a good time. But that was a conference, and this is a doctorate from a prestigious university of Edinburgh. So I'm going to try to sound intelligent and insightful, especially for you today. One of the subjects on the list of 5 I was sent for my speech today was life lessons. So for whatever it is worth, here goes. Let me start at the very, very beginning. Whatever I've learned of life has been at the movies. Actually, the first few films that I did in my career and titles were given to them very nearly formulated whatever I know of life. And that's how I'm going to pass it on to you. One of the first movies of my career was a movie called Deewana. Must have... Okay, but do you remember the story of the film? I'll remind you the story. So I fall in love with a widow who I meet literally by accident, in which I very nearly kill her mother-in-law. Then I marry her. Not the mother-in-law, but the widow. The widow is not keen on the marriage because she still loves her late husband, but she marries me anyway. My rich, mean father disapproves of this unison and does what a rich, mean father does. He tries to kill the widow. And I'm naturally disgusted by his behavior. And after a long 2-page standoff with him, in which I use heavy-sounding Urdu words, I leave the house for good. Then for some reason, apart from the fact that I ride my motorcycle without holding the handlebar, I have an accident. Seeing me so forlorn and sad in the hospital bed, my ex-widow wife falls in love with me. And there is something about absolutely sick men which always attracts women to them. I've noticed this. The sicker, the better. Then again, by chance of fate, I rescue a stranger at night from a bunch of goons, and guess what? He turns out to be the original husband of my ex-widow wife, who hadn't died in spite of his inheritance-hungry uncle's best efforts. Now, evil uncle then decides to kidnap me and my ex-widow, now not so ex-present-day wife, to get hold of his nephew. I escape his clutches, and I come back with my wife's undead husband to rescue her. By now, she is, of course, strapped to a bomb. And do you think they'll take my doctorate back? Well, she's strapped, of course, to a bomb, and after a liberal round of fist fighting, kicking and screaming, the evil uncle is blown to smithereens by the very same bomb that he had strapped on status-confused lady of the film. But not before the sacrificial ex-husband had done a kamikaze, unstrapping his ex-wife and set the bomb off, killing himself in the bargain. All obstacles removed, our hero lives happily ever after with his beloved wife. I'm not sure why the movie was called Deewana, which in Hindi means madness of a particularly nice or romantic kind. But I have a feeling it had something to do with the guy who wrote the plot. So here's my first life lesson, inspired by the movie title Deewana. Madness of the particularly nice or romantic kind is an absolute prerequisite to a happy and successful life. Don't ever treat your little insanities as if they're aberrations that ought to be hidden from the rest of the world. Acknowledge them and use them to define your own way of living, the only life you have. All the most beautiful people in the world, the most creative, the ones who led revolutions, who discovered and invented things, did so because they embraced their own idiosyncrasies. There's no such thing as normal. Normal is just another word for lifeless. Soon after I acted in Deewana, I became the hapless hero of a movie called Chamatkar. This movie had a more believable plotline. I get cheated of all my money by my best friend / conman and find myself asleep in a graveyard only to be awakened by the ghost of a murdered mobster. A ghost that only I can see and nobody else can. I am very perceptive that way. Anyway, the mobster ghost helps me get a job as a teacher through his ghostly good offices. I fall in love with his daughter, of course, from a wife that has passed on after being duped by the flunky of the mobster. Together, the ghost and I organize a cricket match. Yes, I was doing that even before I owned a cricket team. And avenge the various misdeeds done to us by bashing up the flunky and the con man. Then we forgive them because we have a good heart and let each other descend into their respective abodes, where we belong in the first place. He goes back to the grave, I go away with the babe. Now, Chamatkar means miracle, right and straightforward without any nuances. So my next lesson is the following. If you ever find yourself cheated of all your money and sleeping on a grave, do not fear. A miracle is near, either that or a ghost. But all you have to do is fall asleep, trust me. In other words, no matter how bad it gets, life is the miracle you are searching for. There is no other one around the corner. Develop the faith in it to let it take its own course. Make all the efforts you can to abide by its beauty, and it will not let you down. Use every resource you have been given, your mental faculties, the ability of your heart to love, and feel for those around you, your health and good fortune, all of the thousands of gifts life has given you to their maximum potential. Honor your life, please. Honor each gift and each moment by not laying it to waste. There is no real measure of success in this world except the ability to make good of life's endowments to you. Sometimes life's gifts arrive wrapped in all wrong damn wrapping, at which point we have to learn to do two things with them. Recognize them for what they are and gamble on our fear that they might be disasters. This brings me to my third life lesson, inspired by two movies in which I played the anti-hero, Dar and Bazigar. Okay, those stories I won't tell you seem to know them. But 20 years ago in the movies, roles were very clearly defined. They provided the security of your stardom in a sense. If you'd been successfully playing an angry